If a woman hits a man in public, people watch, but if he hits her back, they call him a monster. Let's stop pretending this isn't real. Because society loves to say, violence is never okay, and sure, that sounds good on paper. It sounds fair. It sounds equal. But in real life, that's not how people behave. In real life, if a man and a woman are arguing in public and the woman slaps him, punches him, or even throws something at him, most people won't step in. Some will stare. Some will laugh. Some will assume he deserved it. And a lot of people will treat it like entertainment. But if the roles are reversed, if that man hits that woman, everything changes instantly. People don't hesitate. They rush in, they call the police, they threaten him, sometimes they even attack him, because society has already decided who the threat is, and it's not the woman. This isn't just a double standard. This is an unfairness men live with because men are taught something women are rarely taught in the same way. Suck it up. Take it. Be a man. Men are expected to have endless restraint. They're expected to absorb disrespect. They're expected to stay calm no matter what is done to them. And the moment they respond, especially if they respond physically, even in self-defense, the entire narrative flips. Suddenly, they're not the victim anymore. Suddenly, they're the villain. The real problem is that society doesn't just treat male violence as wrong. Society often treats male defense as violence. A big reason for this is that people assume men can take it. Even when the hit is wrong, the default mindset is, he's bigger, he's stronger, he can handle it. It didn't really hurt. So the violence gets minimized, brushed off, laughed off, and dismissed. The man is basically expected to endure it quietly because that's what being a man is supposed to look like. At the same time, women are socially coded as less violent and more emotional. So when women lash out physically, people interpret it as stress, frustration, heartbreak, or some kind of emotional breaking point. They treat it like an outburst rather than an assault. They call it drama. They call it a reaction. They call it losing control. And almost every time they justify it with the same question. What did he do? That question is the foundation of the entire problem. Because when a woman mistreats a man, society doesn't immediately judge her actions. Society investigates his existence. Even in cheating, this bias shows up clearly. When a man cheats, the story is simple. He's a dog, he's selfish, he's trash, he's wrong. But when a woman cheats, people almost instinctively assume it was caused by something he failed to do. They say she must have been lonely, neglected, emotionally starved, or unloved. They say he wasn't emotionally available, he wasn't romantic enough, he wasn't satisfying her, he wasn't providing enough. And what that really means is this: men are held responsible not only for their own behavior, but for women's behavior too. That's why it feels like women are always seen as justified in the mistreatment of men. Because society frames women as reacting to men, while framing men as the cause of everything. Women are automatically cast as the victim in the story, even when they are the one doing wrong. And men are automatically cast as the threat, even when they are the one being harmed. And this mindset doesn't just show up in relationships. It shows up in the workplace too. It shows up in mentorship. It shows up in the way men protect themselves. And it shows up in the modern cultural environment created by movements like Me Too. Me Too exposed real predators. There's no question about that. Some men absolutely deserved consequences. But it also created another reality that many people refuse to talk about. A culture where accusation can become conviction, where skepticism gets labeled victim blaming, and where due process is treated like an insult. And the result is simple: men became afraid. If you are enjoying this video, please hit the like, share, and subscribe. Not afraid because they hate women. Not afraid because they want to punish women. Afraid because the risk is too high. Because today all it takes is one misunderstanding, one awkward moment, one rumor, one uncomfortable feeling, or one accusation that can't be proven false, and a man's career can be destroyed. Even if he's innocent. Even if he's cleared later. The stain stays. So men adapted, not out of malice, but out of survival. Men started pulling back from mentoring women. Men started avoiding one-on-one meetings. Men started avoiding closed-door conversations. Men started avoiding personal connection and professional sponsorship. And it's not because men suddenly became more sexist. It's because the rules changed and the penalties became career death. This is what people call the Mike Pence rule effect. And whether people want to admit it or not, it's real. It's risk management. Because men understand something society doesn't want to acknowledge out loud. False accusations exist, and even one can ruin your life. But here's the irony. When men back away, society attacks them again. They get accused of sexism. They get told, "You're punishing women. You're retaliating. You're taking it out on women. You're holding women back." But the truth is, many men aren't thinking, "I hate women." They're thinking, "I have a mortgage. I have a family. I have a reputation. I have a career. I'm not risking everything for a situation that can be twisted into something it's not." That isn't punishment. That's self-preservation. And the most tragic part is that the women harmed most by this are actually the good women, the ones who genuinely deserve mentorship, guidance, and opportunity. But because society refuses to admit that weaponized accusations exist, men protect themselves by creating distance. And when men create distance, they get blamed for that too. This is the modern trap. Men are told to help women succeed, but they're also told that if a woman feels uncomfortable, he's guilty. Men are told to support women, but they're also told that defending themselves is an attack. Men are told to be better, but they're also told their fear is misogyny. Men are told to suck it up, and when they do, they suffer silently. But when they don't, they're labeled dangerous. That's why the public response to violence is so uneven. If a woman hits a man in public, people freeze. They assume he can handle it. They assume he did something to deserve it. They treat it like it isn't real violence. But if he pushes her away, restrains her, or defends himself, the entire crowd suddenly wakes up. Society doesn't see it as self-defense. They see it as, he put his hands on her. And just like that, he becomes the villain, even if she started it, even if she escalated it, and even if he was only trying to protect himself. This is why so many men feel like they can't win. Because society still operates under an old, outdated belief system. Men are perpetrators and women are victims. And once that belief is installed into the culture, everything gets filtered through it. Facts, evidence, context, and reality itself. And the final truth, the one people hate hearing the most, is that some women know this. Some women understand the system protects them. Some women understand tears can function like proof. Some women understand an accusation can function like a weapon. And some will take advantage of it. Not all, but enough to change how men move, enough to make men cautious, enough to make men pull back, and enough to make men distrust the system. That is the real unfairness men face today. Because men are expected to absorb mistreatment in silence, and any attempt to speak up gets them labeled bitter. Any attempt to defend themselves gets them labeled abusive. Any attempt to avoid risk gets them labeled sexist. And any attempt to question the narrative gets them labeled misogynistic. This isn't just a double standard. It's a social system where men are expected to endure harm quietly, and the moment they try to protect themselves, it's treated as an attack on women. And until society is willing to admit that, men will keep being told to take the hits and keep being punished the moment they refuse. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments.